Welcome to this week's edition of Gear Live's Bleeding Edge. We're here live from Gear Live's Seattle Mind Camp. I'm Andrew Edwards.
I'm Jake Ludington.
And we are Sparky at Borg. You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
Let's face it, getting to and from meetings can be a real drag. Driving 2 hours for a 1 hour meeting, flying to headquarters for a half day of training. Save time and money by meeting online using GoToMeeting. With GoToMeeting, you invite people to meet you online, and during the call, they see your computer screen on their monitor. You meet as often as you want, whenever you want, for one flat rate. Try GoToMeeting free for 45 days, no credit card required. Just visit GoToMeeting.com and type in promo code PODCAST. That's GoToMeeting.com and type in PODCAST for your free trial, no credit card required.
Okay, so Jake is back alive with us.
I'm recovered. I got a penicillin shot and I'm fine.
Was that all it took?
Yeah, unfortunately in my case, it took a little bit more than a penicillin shot. It involved the penicillin suppository, so...
Ow.
Pleasant.
And I'm sure it was part of your face.
Yeah.
Kids, don't try this at home. Yeah.
Well, you may have noticed that Sparky has been assimilated recently, and this next segment is how it happened.
This is going to be the very first entry in a little process we know as the Borgification of Sparky, or assimilation, or whatever. This is stuff that you can find in the workshops of people who make special effects for movies. You mix the two parts together, they're soft and mushy, you put it on something, they get hard.
What are they made of?
Yes,
Polyvinylsiloxacine. EU impression material.
Yeah.
Hot. What else can we make an impression of later?
Our belly buttons.
Oh, let's get what you're doing.
Hot mixing action there. So are you taking a mold of my whole face or part of it, or
Just
what?
part of it. The part that will receive the, eye implant. You can smile, it's okay.
Even the underside looks pink.
That's my butt.
Ah!
So that'll be 5 minutes.
Elijah, just watch. You're next. Alright. It's pulling away from my face. Does that mean I'm done like a turkey?
Yeah.
Done like a Borg.
Ah! Okay, no, it really did.
His eyeball stuck to it.
Alright, let's see.
Next step is we have to trim it so that it's not all messy. I got this dummy head for $2 from a wig shop. Cut out the hole so that we can eventually fill it with plaster. Here's the plaster. Once it's in there, we take the impression that we took of Sparky's eye, position it carefully so the edges line up with the edge of the, mannequin head. Fast forward 5 minutes. It's dry. And that's a perfect replica of Sparky's eye. Unfortunately, the head was a little bit small. It caused some problems later. I forgot to think about that. This is an air drying compound you can get from Michael's Craft Supply or Joann Fabrics. I forget what it's called exactly, but there's a lot of different ones. Lightweight when it dries. And that little metal piece I got from a gyroscope from Boeing Surplus in Seattle. Here's putting detail on it, as you can see. That way it looks more like a Borg instead of stupid. The mannequin I made out of this guy to build the costume on, I made out of just a pillow. Drawing's fun. Here's a bunch of stuff that went into the costume. I just went around looking around for stuff and then put it on there. Here's the last of some of the tubes that I put on there. Building it was fun. Took about an hour. After everything's painted black, then you dry brush it with silver paint, and it makes it look really cool like this. More like a Borg. That green vial is actually soft plastic. Then the headpiece. There's a hole for one of the little wires to go in, like that. And I left a special spot for the laser pen. These tubes are just from Lowe's Hardware. Same stuff you get for keeping control of your computer wires and stuff like that. The latex and everything I got from, and the skull cap that Nate's wearing here for practice, I got from a costume supply store near my house. The practice and makeup was important because otherwise I wouldn't have known how to do Sparky. We made several mistakes on Nate, but learned our
Squeeze your little
lesson
tube.
there.
It squirts out.
That thing sprays when you squeeze it too hard. The back of the costume ties closed, which is a good way to do it. Hardest thing about a skull cap is getting all the wrinkles out. And I didn't actually succeed in this skull cap. I should have just cut that ear. Would have been funny to see him crying and bleeding on the stage. Tacking the spirit gum is what, like tapping it with your finger is what makes it really sticky. Otherwise it wouldn't stay on. That appliance that goes over his ear is actually made out of a power adapter. You can kind of recognize the shape there. And then there's the tubes. I had 2 tubes. They were supposed to go around to the other side of his head from the appliance, but they only went up to the top of his head because, well, that little mannequin head was too small. Takes a while for that stuff to dry. I didn't have a hot air dryer, a hair dryer. Instead, I had to wait. Applying the gray paint. I think it's hilarious that this Borg had a goatee. This is my favorite part. I am an artist, and so drawing with was actually a eyeliner pencil. It was kind of fun.
Folks at home, this looks really good, but this has taken 2.5 hours, and good lord, I'm ready for it to be done.
What a whiner. Here's a time lapse of the whole process, start to finish. And then he gets to stand up. All done. Coolest shot we saw of the Borg. I took little glow sticks and broke them and put them into the eyepiece and on certain parts of his costumes to create the little glowing effects. After the Bleeding Edge show was filmed, this particular show,
That was
time to take it off.
Terrifying.
Sorry.
Is there somebody in there?
Is there any in the
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
we're gonna go out then.
And as soon as you're done, we're gonna come back in and film a segment.
Let's try the other bathroom down the hallway.
Kids at home, be warned, being assimilated is pleasant at first and gets more and more and more unpleasant.
If I stab you. From that side. Oh, the eye thing. You want to take them one at a time. Here.
Oh, sick.
Okay, that was. Okay, I'll grab that.
I have to burn the costume because it smells so
Oh, it's
bad.
taped.
No, yeah, it's taped on. At least this way I can kind of breathe. Breathe.
Get some air.
This looks really strange with my normal shirt on.
And like the tubes just come out of your head and going nowhere. It's like a weird
It's my
hair.
tube.
This might stick to your arm a little bit.
Peeling it.
Do you know how long it's been since I've needed help getting undressed? Just for
There you go. Just
dun, 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 dun,
pull on
dun,
it.
and you,
Masterpiece. Seals in
my sweaty wrists, my sweaty wrists.
no showers here.
My scalp.
Here, there's scissors right here.
Jesus. Makeup's a little unpleasant, but still, I can breathe.
You can take
I'm gonna let any.
Oh, your hair's all wet underneath. That's soaking wet. Oh yeah, I forgot. You got it wet. I forgot. All right, here I'll help you.
Kids at home, this. You pulled off a layer of my skin.
Rub and all that. Yeah, that'll be.
Why, hello.
Okay, so let's talk about Borg Sparky for a minute. How did that feel? That whole process?
The process was surprisingly pain-free up until the end. So it took about 3 hours to get into, and it was comfortable.
Hot?
It was hot towards the end. Once I was
Don't
into
believe
it,
him. He was whining.
it was fine for the first hour, but after a while, it started to get really hot, and like the makeup is waterproof,
Okay.
and so I was sweating under the makeup, and it was like
Oh, like a nice layer of liquid.
layer of liquid, but it couldn't. Normally, when you sweat, it just kind of drips off or
Right,
evaporates,
right.
but it couldn't because it was all trapped. And then like the prosthetics started to
Well, you
like
even had
make
fake sweat, which was cool.
Yeah, I thought that
Yeah.
was your real sweat. I was like, this guy must be hot
Yeah.
because there's glycerin.
What really sucked was
flying.
the eye prosthetic was had a watertight seal to here, and I didn't have any makeup on my eye.
And you started crying.
And well, when we used some super glue, I started to cry a little bit. But then when because the fumes, but then when the when I started to sweat started to pool up in the prosthetic.
So you were
And-
drowning your eye?
Yeah, I was drowning.
Cool.
Like I had this. I
all
couldn't
salty.
see out, but if the light was coming in, it was just all I could see was water sloshing around in front of my eye. It was.
That was
Gives a new meaning to water torture.
That makes it sound negative, but did you have fun?
Oh,
Did
it
you
was
enjoy
it was a blast.